Hi there, I'm Phil Burgess, England Rugby Sevens player, and I'm here just to talk through how COVID-19 has affected me, how it's affected my year, my season, my family, and hopefully from this there'll be a few learnings that I've taken, and you can hopefully pick some bits and pieces out for yourself that help, and also we can hopefully open up a discussion, open up some opportunity for people to ask questions, comment, and we can really help each other out at these times. So firstly, a few of these, thank you to all the key workers that are doing their piece and doing their bit. We really appreciate it. This is coming from someone that's furloughed at home, and that's another thank you to all those people that are at home, staying at home, doing exactly what we've been told to do. You know, we're there, we're doing what we need to, and it's a very difficult time. But we really appreciate it, so thank you to those key areas, and also just a massive shout out to these guys. The NHS have been amazing, you know, and it's a combination of what they're doing and everyone staying at home and key workers doing their bits and pieces, and we're trusting that what we're doing at the moment is going to put us into a better position facing this COVID-19, and the sooner we sort of battle through this, the better we come out on the other side. Firstly, massive condolences to anyone that's been directly affected by COVID-19. There's been, I think, over 20,000 deaths, so I'm sure some people watching this video will have interacted with that directly. So my thoughts and you know, I say my prayers go out to you. Hopefully, you know, that there's some light at the end of the tunnel, and we haven't got too much longer of this. The NHS is doing everything they can, and we're doing everything we can as people to put ourselves in a better position. Okay, onto the video. Okay, so we've got rugby and my year. So rugby, I'm an international rugby sevens player, really brief. We play on a World Series, competing around the world, 10 different events, and I've been playing for the last 7 years. The pinnacle of rugby sevens is in the Olympics. So 2016 in Rio, I was fortunate enough to be selected for the GB team, and we went and competed in Rio, and we managed to win a silver, which was amazing. After that, I set my targets 4 years later down the line at Tokyo 2020, which is this summer. I'm not sure if everybody has seen on the news, as you may not follow it, but the Olympics has, as with a lot of sport all this year, especially this summer, has been postponed for a year until summer of 2021. For me personally, I had a plan in place for playing in Rio, and then seeing how it came through from there, seeing how we fared, and then the next 4 years was building up to the opportunity to go to another Olympic Games. And I think it's one of those things that for me, my plan was to go to the Olympic Games and then retire. I have a young boy called Bertie, who is 18 months, who I absolutely love to pieces, and my wife, who is also here at home. And I love playing rugby and I love what I do, but it reached a point where I thought actually this would be a nice point to end my career, twofold. One, I could potentially go to another Olympic Games, really enjoy the experience, become richer for it, and you know, whether we medalled or did anything, the experience would be fantastic. And secondly, if I wasn't to go, I'd know that I wasn't good enough to play at the top level anymore. So it would be bittersweet either way. One, I'd go out on the top of my game no matter what happened, and secondly, if I didn't get there and I wasn't selected, you know, I could walk away with my head held high and know that I'd done everything I could. And so this year, obviously, COVID-19 has curtailed that for me, and so you know, there's things thrown around about my year being ruined and my plan and all that sort of stuff. But the way that I see it, unfortunately, it's out of my control. You know, the governments and everything like that have made the decisions for the health of the world, which, you know, is what's important, and it's much bigger than I am. And you know, anyone that's had anybody lose, you know, a family member to this, you know, is completely understanding of why we're in this isolation period. And so for me, obviously it was very disappointing, and I had to come to terms with the fact that I potentially wouldn't be going to another Olympic Games, and the last 4 years I've been building to this one opportunity. But for me, it's a case of what happened throughout the year. Obviously I've really enjoyed myself building up to this point, but then also what can I take from my rugby career and also this instance. So I've got another thing here just about learning. So for me, within sport, you're very fortunate to pick up some skills almost, which, you know, I'd say some buzzwords around it, sort of adaptability, resilience, coping, dealing with emotions, and change. And one of those elements there, change, really is about controllables, and in sport it can be referee decisions or, you know, individual decision making and bits and pieces like that, and we often talk about controlling the controllables. So our situation at the moment, we can't control our situation here, apart from the fact that if we stay at home and we follow the plan and we trust what the government have told us, that we'll be in a better place come tomorrow, come next week, come 2 weeks time. And so in terms of sport wise, what I've learned from sport that I can bring into this situation here, there are a few things. So I'd say controlling the controllables, you know, understand that, you know, when I go outside to exercise or use my hour of the day or an hour and a half, whatever it is, you go out, you're safe. You steer clear of other people if you can. You keep your social distancing, all that sorts of bits and pieces, everything that everyone knows already. And then the other things for me about this year specifically is just about sort of adaptability and resilience. Obviously I wanted to go out on a high and I wanted to enjoy myself potentially at Tokyo Olympics, but that for me has not happened. But on a flip side of that, you know, resilience wise, sort of bounce back ability, I've really taken to enjoying my time in furlough, and what I can say about that is I have a little boy at home, 18 months, little Bertie, and I love spending time with him, and I would never have this opportunity ever again. And my wife and I talk about this all the time and say, you know, we're incredibly lucky to live where we do and have the opportunity at the moment, blessed by the sun gods as well, that we can be in the garden and enjoy ourselves, and just spend so much quality time together. And it's one of those things that one dream sort of crashed and burned a little bit with the Olympics being postponed. But this has just opened my eyes to a whole nother dream in terms of being able to spend so much time together as a family, which, you know, when people are back at work, you won't ever have this until you're on holiday. But when are you ever on holiday for, you know, sort of at the moment 4 weeks or 5 weeks, whatever it is. And so yeah, so that's a great learn on for me really as well. Another thing that I am doing personally, and this is just for me, is, and I say this because you do what works for you, but it's just about trying to keep mentally and physically fit, in the sense that I like to do my exercise, I like to go for a run and do whatever, with all things being considered and being safe, and if that's something that you do enjoy and you want to do, you know, make time for it, make the most of it, and you do you in that sense, because you're a very important part of this whole collective that we have here, and it's one of those things that we've got to buy in together, and we've got to really help each other through this point. And so going on to my last sort of bit, hopefully everyone can see that, top tips. And I've got 3 top tips really, and these are things that I found that have really helped myself and helped my family through this period. And the first one really, I think hopefully you can kind of tell by the person that I am, but it's just the positive attitude. It's just that mindset of seeing the best in a situation, or trying to see the best in a situation. I mean, obviously I've potentially had one of the best opportunities of my life taken away with Tokyo Olympics being postponed, but for me, I still have a smile on my face, because the amount of time and the memories that I'm creating here and now with my family are something that's going to, you know, in the same way as going out and competing, allows me to take joy and take solace in the fact that I know I'm missing out on another opportunity, but I'm living one now, and that's my second point. You know, live fully now, and I think that's Alan Watts, a philosopher, who says it. And it's a case of sometimes if you're striving to be something else or somewhere else, or you're always looking forward to the next thing and stuff like that, the moments that you're in now will pass you by because you're not really in it. And then when you do get to that to that final moment that's going to be amazing, you've lived your life always searching and always growing for something better and something bigger, that you won't ever be satisfied. And that's something that at the moment it's amazing for me, because I'm incredibly satisfied with being here and being with my family. I mean, that's just me personally, but I really like that. And then my other top tip is something that's probably very difficult for a lot of people, but with the help of sport and with the help of sports psychology and all that sort of stuff, it's to understand yourself. And that's a really broad thing. So what I mean by that is understand that it's okay to not be okay. Also understand that you'll have good days, you'll have bad days. Understand that you have your own emotions, your own hormones, your own bits and pieces going on in your world. So you'll be on this roller coaster. We all are. But a really important thing that I've taken upon, and I'd love to recommend to everybody else, is just talk with your family, talk with your friends. You know, talk about what's bothering you, talk about what's not, talk about the good things, talk about the bad things, so that emotionally you're in a position where people know how you feel. You know, so if someone does ask you, say, oh, how are you doing? You know, you don't have to put up that hard front and say like, yeah, I'm fine, yeah, it's great, you know, it's all, this is fine. Everyone struggles with certain bits and pieces every now and again, and sometimes all they need is the opportunity to talk about it. And I'd love to recommend to you guys to just reach out to a family member or a friend, whether it be a telephone call or just a text message or an email or whatever, however you do it. You know, just give people the opportunity to open up and talk, because it's going to be weird going back into the real world, because at the moment you're stuck in your house and everything like that. And I know there's Zoom conversations and quizzes and all this sort of stuff, but it's one of those that if we can get better at talking to each other, whether it be on the phone, text messaging and stuff like that, and ask each other, how are you doing? How are things with you? It's only going to benefit us in the long run, because when we get to see each other and stuff like that, we'll take great joy from that, and great joy from being out of the house and all that sort of stuff. But it would just be a great opportunity for us to help each other out, and I think this is a great moment where we can, in the same way that we're supporting our key workers and NHS and our government by following their lead and doing what they tell us to do, this is an opportunity for us to actually really help ourselves and help each other. So yeah, let's just have a quick recap through this little talk. So first we had those thank yous, which, you know, I've said it again about key workers and everything like that, you know, like my little boy Bertie loves looking out the window and waving at the bin men and stuff like that. So thank you to those guys, thank you to everyone in schools and care workers, all that sort of stuff. We couldn't be doing what we're doing. The NHS, fantastic job there. Everyone, you know, even the guys coming out of retirement, helping out, doing those bits and pieces, people providing all the PPE, all that sort of stuff. Cracking job, keep it up. Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone staying at home and following the lead, which, you know, is great. So we talked about rugby briefly, my year. I'd love to be able to talk about rugby and all that sort of stuff in the future. So if people want to have conversations, comment on this video, and we can get discussions going around it. And also the rugby side of it, anything that I've learned through rugby, anything you want to know about it, that's great. And then also the year that I've had in terms of my disappointment, personal disappointment. Obviously everyone's going through their own stuff at the moment, and it is a very difficult time. But this is just specific to me, and I'd love for people out there that have, you know, whether it be exams or holidays or anything that you were looking forward to that's been cancelled, I'd love to be able to talk about it and see how you coped, how you dealt with it, and how we can just, you know, come together and get our thoughts and really help each other out and move on from there. Which is kind of this aspect, so learnings, I guess that's where we are with that. I'd love to have discussion about it, just to see what we've learned. I use those buzzwords, from rugby. You know, the adaptability, resilience, change, and coping, and all that sort of stuff. And something that always runs in my head is just control the controllables. You know, you can control certain bits, certain things you can't. At the moment, we're told to stay inside. Let's do it. Let's buy into it. Let's make this better for ourselves. And then finally, the little top tips. And they were three things really that have worked really well for me, and I'd love to be able to talk to you about them more in greater detail. So if there are any of those aspects that you'd love to talk to me about, further, just let me know. And the first one, positivity, and that's just your mindset going into it. Secondly was the Alan Watts quote, was just live fully now. And that's just, you know, it's combined with mindset, I'm sure, but it's just an outlook in the same way. And then the third was just sort of openness with your emotions and just reaching out and helping each other out. You know, we're in a very tough place. Some people are suffering more than others. Some people are, are breezing through this. Some people aren't. And sometimes you just need to reach out and ask if everyone's okay, and ask if there's anything you can do to help out. We're in a very strange time. But no, we will get through it, and we'll come through the other side, and hopefully we'll be better for it. And what I'd like to say is thanks very much for watching the video. As I say, I'd love this to become a regular thing. And also, if there's any discussion pieces in terms of questions or anything you'd like to know more about, whatever, drop in the comments. Send something across. We'd love to have a discussion about it. But everyone stay at home, stay safe. And yeah, hopefully we'll catch up soon.